And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
My name is Cathy Hoskins. I began working at Salt Lake Community Action in 1965. Back in 1965, Head Start was one of the programs that was created under the Office of Economic Opportunity. And they had a 6-week program going on at the local school, and I had a child that was eligible age-wise to participate in that program. And I decided to get involved with Head Start for that 6-week program. Well, right next door to Jackson School was the Old Spencer Branch Library, and that housed the Salt Lake Community Action Program's Northwest office. And they asked me if I'd be interested in some part-time work. Sure, I'd be interested in some part-time work. So I did. I went to work half-time, and that half-time work only lasted about 3 weeks when they invited me to come on full-time. So I became a full-time employee of Salt Lake November the 15th, 1965. But I was working as a neighborhood worker. We called them neighborhood workers in those days. And then I became associate director of that neighborhood. And then as funding grew smaller and smaller, they added one more neighborhood under my direction, and pretty soon I had all of the neighborhoods under my direction. Then I was invited to move into the main office as an assistant to the CAP director. Eventually, when my mentor, Hal Schultz, left the agency due to health reasons, the board asked me if I would be willing to be the executive director on an interim basis, and I said, of course I would. 6 months later, they offered me the position on a full-time basis, and I held that role for 22 years. The neighborhood councils were composed much like the CAP board is today. It had to be tripartite in nature, 1/3 public, 1/3 private, and 1/3 low income. And that was always wonderful to be able to bring those people to the table. What happens within the agency is driven by what the board determines their needs are. And particularly the low income sector plays into that by talking about what the needs are of the community and the low income sector. I think it's because the programs that we deliver, the services that we deliver, are driven by the needs of individual communities. Advocacy was the big thing, and it wasn't so much the staff doing all the work. We provided the neighborhood and the constituency with the tools they needed to advocate for themselves. People's involvement in their own affairs had a great deal to do with the success of the community. Well, I don't think there is any one thing that will define how you break the cycle of poverty. But I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think we have to let people know that, first of all, they have some value in themselves, because a lot of the people we work with don't feel like they have any value, or they can't contribute, or it's a generational thing where it's just a way of life. You make them feel important and educate them on the things that they can do to make their lives better, and it helps. And it also helps to be providers of various emergency services, because if you don't have a house to live in, if you don't have food to live in, if your kids don't have clothes to wear to school, or they don't have a school to go to, all of those things are issues that CAP tries to address individually and with the community at large, and they contribute greatly, I think, to having an impact on the causes of poverty. But through coordination with other agencies and groups of people, we had a much bigger impact. So we lasted for 22 years and have been thankful for the opportunity to serve the community in that capacity. And I like to think that our agency accomplished many wonderful things during that period of time, and I can't attribute that back to me. I have to attribute it to a wonderful staff and a wonderful board that we had that care very deeply about our mission and our goals and what we're all about. So I know that many wonderful things have happened since I left the agency, but I hope that some of the things that we stood for as the core of what community action was supposed to be about still remain. It's my dream.